Hey guys, so it's Thang here again. In this video, we're just going to be talking about my monk's build, his gear set, and his skills. We're going to take a look into that. I've been getting a few messages on how to build the monk Epiphany's build. This is based on Invis's Epiphany build when he was in beta, but of course a lot of things change after beta, I've noticed. So you'd have to adapt to what's required of the build. So I like to dub this the Firestorm Epiphany build because you're pretty much engulfed in fire practically all the time. It is strenuous on your spirit if you don't build it correctly, but I mean it's a great build because you just pretty much run through everything and things just die if you have enough DPS for it. Anyways, let's take a look at the skills. So as you can see, it is a basic template for the Epiphany build. The two main skills that you really require is the Tempest Rush and Epiphany itself. Those two are required. The other ones you can mix and match if you wanted to. Like I said, this build is a bit strenuous on your spirit, especially when you're outside of Epiphany and you're constantly doing Tempest Rush all the time. So anyways, for the primary skill, I like to have that Wave 100 Fist, but if you are in need of spirit, then go Quickening when you're outside of Epiphany. You know, it does regen 4 spirit per enemy hit, but with what I do, I mean, I don't need the extra spirit regen when I'm outside. I can constantly do Tempest Rush yeah, so that's why I have Fist of Fury. It's my main DPSer when I'm not doing Epiphany. Now, the secondary, which will always be in your secondary, is Tempest Rush. You can either have two, the Northern Breeze, which I like because it increases my damage for Tempest Rush by 285, and it decreases the Spirit Vent by 8 Spirit instead of the original 10 Spirit. Yeah, I mean, if you can't want to rush through and you have the DPS for it, then do the Tailwind if you want to, but I prefer Northern Breeze for the extra DPS. So let's look at Epiphany. Now it has pretty nice runes to use. You know, Desert Shroud, Ascendance, Soothing Mist. Soothing Mist, Windwalker, and Inner Fire. But the one that we're focusing on is Inner Fire itself. Now, as it says, engulf yourself in flames, causing your attacks to assault enemies for 353 weapon as fire. Now, when you're meleeing an enemy, you know, it'll just shoot out a fireball, just one single fireball. But since it's coupled with Tempest Rush, it has a different mechanic. So it shoots out shadow flame versions of you to any creature or any breakable item that's pathable to you or to it. So you don't even have to target anything, and you just can focus on a huge mob, and anything that's outside of it will just get hit and die.
That ability is not yet recharged.
And that's why this build is really awesome and amazing. Now, for the rest of the slots, you know, you can mix and match if you want to. You know, if you do really need spirit regen, then add the runes that gives you spirit regen. For me, I like having Mystic Ally, the Fire Ally, because it increases my DPS by 10%. Plus, also when I activate it, it splits into 10 different smaller allies and explodes for 150 damage as well, and that's actually pretty great for me. But yeah, it does have a 30 seconds cooldown, but that's okay. I'll explain later why. But yeah. And now for mantra, you know, like I said, if you do need the spirit regen, then go for the circular breathing in the mantra of healing mantra. But you know, I don't need it, so I prefer the conviction one with the over R for an extra 16% damage, and that helps kill things faster. For the last one, I prefer the Sweeping Wind Firestorm rune because I like everything just fire. That's why it's called the Firestorm Epiphany. Everything just burns. But I prefer that because it increases the radius to 14 yards. It's a little bit bigger than normal. So, you know, it just helps kill everything else that's in an AoE damage spot. But I mean, like I said again, if you do need the Spirit Regen, then go for the Inner Storm if you need to. So, you know, for passive skills, you can mix and match anything you want, but the most important thing that you want for this Epiphany build, or even moving forward to another build that I hopefully will have, is the Beacon of Yitar. Now, why it's important, I will explain that in a moment, is because it does reduce all your cooldowns by 20%. 20% is actually a lot of time wasted or gone or saved, or however you want to say. But that's very important to have in this Epiphany build, and also in another build that in another day, if I get the item, I will show it to you. So with the other two skills, you know, I do have the Exalted Soul and the Chance of Resonance. Now these two helps to increase my spirit regen by a total of 4 each, you know, and that helps me out a lot because when I'm not in Epiphany mode, you know, it helps me with the Tempest Rush, so it doesn't eat all my spirit down. So in other words, Tempest Rush is only using 4 spirit rather than 8 spirit. So yeah, you can, you know, alternate these two if you want to, but for me, I prefer them because they do help out with my spirit regen when I'm out of Epiphany. I have tried it with, you know, Seize the Initiative and the Guardian's Path in the past. This does help me to survive a little bit more, but it really does drain on my spirit when I don't have the Exalted Soul. And also the Guardian's Path with the 35% is actually not that great when you only have when you're only gaining 2 spirit per second. It's actually really horrible. So I wouldn't really recommend this unless you have like higher spirit regen. But yeah. So lastly, I have the Momentum, which increases my damage by 15% if I move 30 yards. Now, because I have Tempest Rush, you know, I'm always constantly moving, and I'm not stopping really unless I'm out of spirit, and that's sometimes I am out of spirit, but I'm constantly moving, so I'm always constantly getting this buff. It's actually better than the combination strike because the combination strike is only 10 seconds, and you actually have to stop and punch something to actually get that buff, get that passive to actually activate, which sometimes you do forget. So that's why I prefer Momentum, because you're always moving. Unity is good as well, but only if you have like 3 people or more in your party. Yeah, if you don't have 3 people or more, then it's not that great to have. I'm just letting you know that. So now that we finished the skill set, what we're going to look at next is my gears. So I'm going to pop up the detail option. What you notice here the most, that you should notice, is the cooldown reduction that I have at the moment. It's 55.37% reduction. So when I said that the Beacon of Yitar is really important in this build, it's actually really important in this build. Because when you hover over Epiphany, it says there's a cooldown of 60 seconds. That 60 seconds is a long time in Diablo 3. I mean, why bother even having Epiphany if you still have 60 seconds? So if you do pop your Epiphany, you know, it lasts for 15 seconds, so you have an extra 45 seconds to wait until the next one. It's pretty much useless if you're gonna do that, right? So I mean, if you do have anything over 50% cooldown reduction, I mean, you're only waiting for 15 seconds to pop Epiphany again rather than 45 seconds. 45 and 15 is a huge difference, you know. Yeah, so you really have to reduce the cooldown as much as you can to actually make this build as effective as it can be. Yeah, so the cooldown affects all your skills across the board. I mean, every single skill that you have will be cut down by that amount. I have 55.3%. I mean, that's pretty much a lot. So let's pop my Epiphany and my Fire Ally and see how fast they pop. See? I mean, I'm not waiting that long in between Epiphany and Fire Ally to pop it again. So I mean, I'm actually increasing my DPS a lot more than I would if this was like 600k or something. See, I can pop another Fire Ally right now, even before Epiphany ends. So with that being said, you know, you have to arrange your gears wise appropriately so that it reduces the cooldown by not gimping yourself out. I mean, my damage is not that great because of my gear wise, but my toughness is pretty high, so I can survive, and so is my healing as well. That's also because of my Templar. So now let's look at my gears. When you look at my sword right here, my main hand sword, I do have reduced skill by 10%, and then my next sword I have it for another 10%. I do have the gem up here for an extra 12.5%. I believe my shoulder has 7%. What else does it have it on? I don't remember. It's been a while. I think that's it. But yeah. Oh, and also my amulet for another 6%, which is not the highest. Sad face, but whatever. But yeah, those help to reduce it down a lot with the beacon of guitar, and also um, my Nephilim skill as well. We'll go into that in a bit, but that's how you want to manage your skills if you do want a effective Epiphany build where you're only waiting for 10 seconds at least, or 12 seconds. I believe with my cooldown I'm waiting at least for 12 seconds in between. And yeah, that's how you should manage your gear wise. After you get above 50% or at 50% or close to 50%, you can re-enchant, re-roll it to anything else you want to. But before that, you should have it at 50% or the build won't be as effective because you're actually losing DPS that wise. Anyway, so let's look at my Paragon. So Paragon, I do have it all in Dex, which is pretty obvious. Now the offensive build, I do have everything in cooldown reduction. The 10% really does help out a lot with everything, the gears, the passive skill, and the gem. That's how I achieve the 55.37% cooldown reduction. But yeah, that's about it. That's how you build the Epiphany build. I mean, if you don't have that cooldown reduction, there's really no point in having it, because what's the point, right? You're waiting for a long time to do this, and there's might as well go into another build. That's all I'm saying. I mean, this itself does lead into the next build, which is, let me just show you. The Breath of Heaven, Circle of Scorn build. It increases your damage by 505 holy damage. It's also an AoE. I have 50% now, 55% now. When I get this item, it decreases my cooldown to 50%. So Breath of Heaven would be pretty much instant for me every single time I touch it. So that's a lot of damage itself. But yeah, so that's basically the build itself. You can mix and match anything you want, but the cooldown reduction is the most important thing that you need or you want. Anyway, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it helps you out. If you do like it, of course, press like, and of course, subscribe to my future video. Much would be appreciated, of course. Anyways, I'll see you guys later. Bye!